Hello, this is Ben Cash from Reason One. Little follow-up video for you. This is a complex project, and we obviously couldn't give the full context of how we do what we do in the time that we had available. So we wanted to create a little something for you to give you a little bit of a deeper look, right? Show you the breadth and depth of some of the activities we do to build a best-in-class website. What you're seeing here is Miro board. That's where we collaborate together. If your team is remote or spread out or working from home, everybody can access when we collaborate. If they can't make a meeting, the often question is, did someone take a photo of the whiteboard before erasing? Not to worry. Everything is available asynchronously. So it makes for really great collaboration for an organization like yours that's spread out across the state. So what I did to create this video was grab a collection of collaborative artifacts and deliverables from a few projects. These are just high level to give you a general sense of the thoroughness and thoughtfulness our team takes. There's no script here. I'm just going to wing it and sort of riff. And if you have any follow-up questions about this, just ask. So let me just dive right in here. So I'm going to zoom into one of the first things that we do when the project kicks off. And that is a context session. So the context session is our chance to get both our teams in the same room, different stakeholders on your side, different levels, and really align on the key areas that define the project, larger business context, and what success looks like. This is the proverbial measure twice, cut once. And so some of the things that we look at are business context, purpose and goals, platform and approach, what done looks like, critical behaviors, open issues and risks, and how we define that done. And it's a really great exercise. Our team's asking questions, your team's asking questions, and we're really trying to get the heart of everything. And that gives us the context for the project, right? And all the different things around it. Once we're done with the context session, we'll often kick off discovery. And some of the things that we do in discovery are, for example, our audience discovery. When we do this, we're breaking down all the different personas. Sometimes we'll work with Dean Browell and his team at Feedback to get ethnographic personas to influence the structure and nature of the audience breakdown. But, when we're looking at an individual audience, we're looking at goals and tasks. What do they want to accomplish? Look at their pain points, what's influencing them, opportunities, and also their context. And we do this for all of the different audiences. We also might move into content strategy next, for example. And this is an example of some of the different stages in our content strategy work. We might be looking at content migration, right? Thinking about considerations and risks and really getting in the weeds of that. We might look through content governance and how we're going to build that content governance plan and really understanding your organization. And of course, getting into information architecture. And we also might look at your content lifecycle, right? That practice of managing content from planning to authoring, promotion to assessing and maintaining. Past some of the content strategy activities, we might get into platform evaluation. And in platform evaluation, obviously we want to look at the platform requirements. Your team has a lot of needs, specific needs. We want to make sure that we're addressing all those platform requirements. So we really document those things and compare them to the different platforms and tools that we're looking at. And then we might dive a little deeper, right? And break it down across the things that you need the site to do, like search, forms, appointment scheduling, analytics, events, all kinds of different things. And we break those down, right, with priority, with the different integration things and notes, any number of things that we might dive into. But ultimately, platform evaluation is going to sort of boil down to this sort of weighted approach, right? Like, what's the ranking? Which ones stand out? And that's how we make decisions. We also then, based on what we learn and based on what we're trying to build, we might go through some implementation specifications to just get a level of clarity, right? You'll see a lot of detail here and the epics and stories, as it were, agile terminology. And then we get into the heart of what we do, I think that makes our collaboration great, which is scope road mapping. This really helps our teams understand and visualize scope so that we can focus on what delivers the most value to Piedmont and your audiences. So what we actually do is we map out each of the individual features and functions and stories, and we group them. We look at, we work with you to map out all the different needs and aspects of it here in the yellow cards. We break down the team's hours. We look at cost of individual items so that there's a lot of transparency when we're scoping. It takes away any confusion or ambiguity and really makes scoping a collaboration and not something that's behind a curtain. So you really understand where costs and things go. And it allows us also to prioritize. So we might look at, these are the things that we know on the top here that are critical for initial launch, right? And if there's things that we don't think are as important or maybe nice to haves, we can deprioritize those and put those below and put those into a backlog. But really, again, the key about this approach, scope road mapping, is that your team and our team are working together to hit your budget, hit your priorities, and hit your timeline, and we do it together. Once we have that scope roadmap, we actually start planning out our cycles, or sprints, as some call them. We work through those different cycle plans to keep us on track and be accountable. And then, once we're done with that, we will actually get into our concepting, where we start thinking about designs and different things. What are going to go on the layouts and the pages and the different architecture. And here's an example here of some of the different pages that our team might ideate about and really dive deep. So for example, here was some pages around scheduling an appointment or finding a doctor that we did for a client. And you'll see things like, they're looking at the different user stories. They're looking at what are the business goals? What are the known requirements for the experience? What are their comparators or competitors doing? How can we improve this experience? Prioritization of page content, and sometimes just questions for the client, right? We might pull in other examples, external examples in here, and start playing around with it. But once we do a lot of this detailed work with some of the critical workhorse pages of the site, we start getting to design because we know what we're building, right? And then that takes us to here in Figma, where we often build out our designs and design systems. I'll give you an example of a design system we worked on for a cancer center last year. We work on color palette here, seeing, testing brand color palette for accessibility combinations, making sure that we have the most accessible color palette possible. We obviously look at things like typography. We look at, our home pages. We have different home pages for different types of screens and devices and sizes. We'll look at maybe a hub landing page. Also, some of these other pages like Find a Doc, Doctor Bios, and other sections, different content sections or engagement components. We also can get into some component things like navigation, footers, right? Hero banners, or even buttons, right? Link styles, making sure they're consistent, reducing friction. We also might get as detailed as form components and how those forms are going to look across the site. And all of these things turn into that design system that Corey talked about, so that as you are expanding the website, building new things, it's always consistent, it's always accessible, and that really reduces friction. So these are some of the things that we do in our process, and I hope that was helpful to you in understanding a little bit more about how we do what we do. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. My email is bcash@reasononeinc.com. Thank you so much.